have part 2 where we are going to integrate Airflow to automate this retrieval of data or this extraction of data. And then we're going to also use Docker and get Postgres SQL, and which will be our sink. This will be where we store our data. Yeah, and that's the entire overview of the project. Yeah, so as we left it at sorry, you're seeing some new files that were not there last time we checked, and we'll show you how I've gotten that. So we left the data, and we left the data as yeah, so we left the data. Yeah, so you are here. So this is the project that we did, and we got the data, and we got the data in this CSV file, and we loaded all the data, 40 cities in total, and we have all the files here. So let's get into part 2. Part 2 will be orchestrating this using Airflow, and using Airflow we're going to be using one new provider, the Astro CLI. That's what you're going to be using to orchestrate this, although we can use the traditional way where you get Airflow running in your system, and it's very easy as long as you've set the requirements, the Hyper-V, the basic, because the basic standards of Windows and your system, it can run. Although most of the time it gets up or it restarts and then install fails at the middle. For me, my system I already have installed CLI, and once it runs, you just need to add this command, Astro dev init, and it will have all this. To create all this from Astro. No other command that we have added. You can see this was the data recording, and this is how I interrupted and added the run job. And so Astro dev init, and it will have already this. And so from here, just going to create DAGs in Airflow. Remember, this is what that schedules Airflow, and so you can see you have DAGs. So I'm going to add another DAG, ETL weather.py, ETL weather. Sorry, the spelling it's wrong. Rename it's weather.py. It's wrong. Weather.py, and it's good. So we're going to get right into coding this. If you know of tags and if you have interacted with Airflow before, and it will have some tasks. So we're going to be having 3 tasks in our code, and the first task will be the extract data, and then transform data, and then the load data. Loading data, remember that you have said you're loading data to Postgres DB, that you're going to be using the Beaver to access this data, since it will be in localhost, and you're going to be having a port. So mostly is used is 5432 or 5432, and you're going to get into coding. So from Airflow import tag, and then I'm going to be having from providers hooks. I'm going to be having hooks. Since you are interacting with an API, you're going to need hooks to access to that request. We're also going to need a Postgres hook to connect to that, so that you can sync the data, and it will be from, sorry, this, I don't want that to be capital, from Airflow providers dot Postgres dot hooks dot Postgres import Postgres hook. And then the other one is we're going to have decorators. So remember this, now this comes to OP concepts. Yeah, so make sure that your Python is well above average to really understand what I am doing. Decorators imports tasks, and so from Airflow utilities import days ago. Then from we are going to have import in datetime and time delta. Then I'm going to then import requests. Yeah, we are going to have cities. So cities. Going to have the cities that we had. So remember we did a main.py. We have a list of so many cities around here, and that's the same. This is the same job that you're doing. So why should we take other cities? Let's just take these ones. So cities, and yeah, we have cities there. We have an error here. So the providers. Yeah, so we're going to have a connection ID to Postgres. The Postgres from ID as default, and API URL. Remember, we have an API URL as the one that you used as the base URL. No, I hope you remember that when you are getting data. Yes, yeah. Wondering what this. Okay. Okay. URL. We have the URL here. Yeah. And we have the API key. Now for here, we're going to expose this API key. We're going to expose this key. Remember, this key will be, the time you are seeing this video, this key will no longer be existent. This is just for instruction purposes. API key. Yeah, this should be in. I don't know why I'm getting this. Yeah. Then so we're going to be having the default tags that come with Airflow. So we always have this. The configurations of Airflow. We're going to be having the owner be Airflow, depends on start. Email on failure, email. No, we're not going to have all this. We're just going to have the owner, start date, retries, and retry delay. So change this. So we have start date days ago, and it tries one, and we tried 5 minutes. Yeah, so I'm going to end this. Yeah, so we're going to have tag. Yeah, so we're going to have width, to give this tag an ID, width tag, sorry, this tag ID, going to give this as the weather, ATL, pipeline, default args. I'm going to have that default tags, interval, how often do we have? So it runs on 12 midnight every day. Yeah. So those are the configurations for our DAG. So we're going to have, first one is task, and first one will be, first function will be to extract weather data. Let me see. Extract weather data. I'm not going to pass any argument to that. Yeah, so we're going to extract all weather data for cities at once. Yeah, so this is a comment. Okay, do I really need to write a comment for you? No, I don't think so. So we're going to have weather data. Weather data. And so for city, for loop, for city in cities, remember we already have defined cities above. For city in cities, then you're going to construct the API request URL for the current weather data using the name and the API key. So we're going to have an endpoint. An endpoint would be, have an F string, and it will have the API URL. And remember, this code, we just wrote it the same that you wrote when you're getting the data. It does not become different. Then you are going to have response request dot get endpoint. Yeah, remember, now the next part you're going to go if you get data. So remember, if you did get data, the status, the status code is 200. Yeah, so the status code going to have, so if response, that status code is equals to 200, then we have weather data city response in JSON. Yeah, so if I told you you're going to be interacting with Python, so if response status is for 1, no data, for 1, of not found. Yeah, and else going to raise an exception, and it will have a status code for us. So these are good practices when you are implementing login. So login for your when you're monitoring pipelines, is very good to have logins. So logins, not logins for, let's say, login for an website. The logins, the metadata, the data about the data that shows actually what is happening behind the scenes. Why is my pipeline failing? Why is it doing very well also? Yeah, that's something you can log. But yeah, very good to implement logs. Yeah, so we're going to have an else, so it will raise an exception and to show the error. This exception and to show the response, the error and the message. Yeah, so then you're going to have to return. Yeah, so you're going to return whether data. Yeah, so then you're going to have another one, task. So this is for the transformation of data. Sorry, task. So we're going to be having def transform data. Transform weather data. So we're going to input now. This will have to have an argument. Remember, if you are reading files, so this is just basic Python, not basic, but well, it's functions. So remember, if you're using functions to read data, so if you have a function that reads data, so it will be function name, and then there'll be no argument in the first. Now we're going to have the name. So it's, let's say it's df is equals to pd.read csv, then going to have maybe a file taxi data.csv, and then you're going to return. So if you had another function to clean data, remember now df must be an argument in this now new function. Yeah, so we're going to have, it will be an argument here with the data. Yeah, so we're going to have transform data in this, transformed data in this, and so for city, or data in weather, data.items. Yeah, so we are going to have the current data, current weather, sorry, either equals data. This will be main, and then going to be transformed. Now we have the transform data, and transform data. Then we have city for now for all these data. Remember the data that we had. Yeah, so we have temperature, wind speed, wind direction, weather code, request, timestamp, so description, weather. Yeah, all this. Okay, so we can do away with some of this data. Or let's just get this, let's just write it down. Let's just get this data, all this data to the database. Let's not transform the data here. I wanted to leave out some columns, but no, let's do it. Yeah, so we have another task. So this task will be, of course, guessed it right, going to be loading the data. So the task name will be load data. So function. I hope you are understanding whatever I'm doing. I hope you have not gotten tired. and so we have weather load weather data. So we have now the transformed data. So now this argument transformed data. Yeah, so we have load the data into Postgres. We have a hook, 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 and so it's goes to Postgres hook, Postgres connection ID, that connection ID. So of course now the the copilot is well integrated. It's writing for me the code, and I just need to look at, is this correct? So so that's there. So yeah, so and then you have the con, so give it a variable which will be pg hook. We've already defined pg hook above. Pg hook dot get connection, it will be cursor equals to one dot cursor. Yeah, so we're going to create a table if that does not exist. Of course, it does not exist in our database. Let's execute. Yeah, so we have create table if does not exist, and we have all these. Very nice. Does all that. Yeah, so yeah, you need to get Copilot in your system. Does very good work. Although we have some errors, we're going to debug in just a minute. You can see that you have some errors. So we're going to insert, although most of the errors is the indentation. So just to get right on the indentation, then we are good. I don't think we have an issue. So we have the insert the transform data into the table now in our database. Yeah, and we have for city, then data and transform data items, cast execute, insert into weather data. Yeah, very good. So yeah, that's a very good, yeah, exactly what I want. Yeah, so I'm going to close this conmate and cursor close and con close. Yeah, then you're going to define this in sequential. So we have the first one is extract, the second one is transform, third one is load. So we need to define this in a way that Airflow recognizes that this will be done in a sequential order. Yeah, so we have weather data extract, weather data extract weather data, then transform data. We have transform weather data, and then load weather data. Yeah, so this our DAG. Yeah, so apart from this, what you're going to get next, you're going to get Docker in a system. Docker in a system. Already we have Docker. Docker is not running at the moment, but as you can see, Docker is in my system. Containers, and you can see Docker desktop. And so it's not running, it won't run, by the way. Make sure you have Docker in a system. And so we're going to be having another file, and we're going to have call it Docker file. So we already have the Docker file, and so let's name this docker.compose, docker compose.yaml. So this is an issue. Delete. So we have docker compose.yaml. Yeah, so we are going to have some code for this, just having the Postgres. So Postgres acting as a volume to have changes recorded, and so it's a Postgres image. Yeah, so we have Postgres. Yeah, so to run this project, I'm going to probably need to save this. I'm going to have the DAG. Remember, it's a DAG. I don't know why there's an issue. Why there's an error. So yeah, going to save this, and so we are going to have, we want to run this. We're going to remember that we have now this, let's see, astro sorry, astro dev start. So Docker should compile all this and create an image for me. It will also create this Postgres. It will be in one volume. Yeah, so it should be building. Yeah, so this is the, let me show you just a bit. Yeah, so we can see this is our this is our DAG, and you can see we have tried 3 times and it's failing and still failing. And when I look at the logs, it's because we have not set a connection ID in Airflow. Yeah, so I'll come and create one, and I will show you just that how to create a connection ID in Airflow, so that we can get the data from now this from this code now, or this instance, this CTL pipeline from Airflow, and you can connect the data to Postgres. That will be the sync. We need to create a connection ID, and so we'll come here to let me just maximize this, and it will be admin connections. Yeah, connections apt run. So I don't know, connections admin. Yeah, so we have add one. So the connection type is Postgres. Look for Postgres. Postgres, here it is. Yeah, and the connection ID is so you can see from our code is Postgres default. That was the name of our Postgres default. Yeah, that's the name, and the connection is Postgres. Do we really need a description? No. Yeah. So hosts, and we are going to look for the host. So we're going to look for the host. Yeah. So the host is the name of this container that we have in this container that we have in Airflow that is running. Yeah. So this is the container, and this Postgres is here, and this is the container. This is the name of the container. So this will be our host. Yeah. Yeah, there. So these are hosts. Yeah. So we have other files, other data. Yes. And the data name, you can see the database name, sorry. The name was Postgres. The login was Postgres. This is available from our, and the password was Postgres. This is available from our Docker compose.yaml. Yeah, the information is all visible there. Yeah. So let me show you this so you don't get lost. You wonder where I'm removing the data. So Docker compose.yaml, you have the Postgres user is Postgres, and Postgres. So I don't get lost in that. And I'll go back to where we were. Yeah. So, yeah. So the port was 5432. Yeah, and you should save this connection. Yeah. Yeah, it's saving. And I think that's it. Integrity are probably any constraint. Let me try to run it again. Yeah, and I trigger it. And let's see if we have set the connection properly. Yeah, and this should ideally this should run. So as you can see, the tags. Let me look at the graph. Let me show you the graph. So extracting, that's what's happening. We're getting data from the weather API. So if you have looked at part one, so this is the extracting data to the CSV. So this is the first step where we call the API. We use requests and we get data. And yeah, I don't know why it's taking too long. Yeah, I think the cities are too many. We have 40 cities. It must get that, and there's an interval of 5 seconds after getting a city, so that there's no buffer. Yeah, you can. That's a reason. So it's successful. You have extracted the data. So let's go to transforming. It's queuing. It has been queued and it's running now. Yeah, it's successful, and we have the load. It has been queued and success. Yeah. So it's a success. So that was the issue. We did not set a connection string, and so we are going to access this data in the Beaver. So the Beaver will be our interface for the Beaver will be our interface for Postgres rather. So open. Yeah, so it's opened, and you can see the data here. I want to create a new connection, new database connection. Yeah, so it's Postgres. So now Postgres. Next. Yeah, and I have the so so the host is localhost 54-2. Postgres password is Postgres. I've probably done that. Let me just write it again. Postgres. Yeah. So I think we have everything. Yeah. So I think we should test the connection. Connected. Yeah. So I think we should finish. Yeah, so you should come here in Postgres. Whether our database has been created or not. Postgres. Yeah. Public tables. Let's see weather data, and it's right here, and we have columns, and we have this. Yeah. So let's run this. Yeah, and you can see Nairobi, London, Kampala. We have the cities, so we can see that our data is in Postgres. Yeah, so and we have the cities. Yeah, so this will be all for today. Yeah, I hope you have learned a lot from this end-to-end pipeline from part 1 to now part 2, and you have come to the end of this. Yeah, the best way to learn and to get your practice skills is practice a lot and a lot. Yeah, so if you have any question, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn, Simon Gugi, or you can comment on this video. So that will be all for today. Till next time, bye.